What is going on, guys? This is Mark with Reaper Airsoft, and today we got a video that's going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be powered by Elite Force. A big shout out to those guys over at Elite Force for everything they do for us. They definitely hook us up in a lot of ways. Today we're going to take a step back and look at something a little bit more different than just your basic Airsoft, how to or review or anything like that. Now this is something that everybody at one point in the sport of Airsoft has done. They either looked into it, messed with it, or thought about purchasing some sort of night vision optical. And if you guys know me, if you guys are local, you know I like to tinker with stuff. I like to mess with things. I build my own computers. I repair Xboxes and PlayStations. I do all that sort of stuff, and when I get bored, I always have to find a little side project to keep me busy. And today we're going to go over one of my side projects. Now this sitting right here in front of you is a G36 Kkv Carry Handle. This used to have the built-in 2.5, 3 times magnifier scope in here. But what I did is I got bored and I sacrificed this one. And this one is now set up to be a night vision style setup. And this is all built off of IR basics. Now if you don't know what IR is infrared light. And to the naked eye, to me and you at night, when IR light's shining, and it's even shining constantly, we can't see it. It's invisible to us. We cannot see it. It's there at all times. It doesn't go away. We just do not have the ability to perceive it. So in pitch black darkness, when you have a night vision device, which you are typically seeing, the light that it picks up is an IR light. Now this one is designed as a separate piece from an IR flashlight. I have an IR flashlight that goes on with it as a separate entity. That way when I use the flashlight, I know I'm using it because I can't see it visibly with my eye. But anybody else with night vision or an IR scope at all will see the thing from a mile away. IR lights light up like a Christmas tree when it comes to night vision scopes. So they can see me forever away, and it's something that I don't want on constantly, so I have it set up on a separate platform. But I'm going to go over the basics of what I did and how I did it, what I did to achieve, a basic night vision scope. Now this is all integrated into the carry handle. I can bolt this to my gun, hook the battery up to it, turn it on, and actually run around in the middle of the night and use my flashlight to actually see. Is this going to be like a Gen 3 PVS 14? No. Nowhere in comparison, nothing at all close to it, but this does give you something on a budget that you can do if you have a basic understanding of electronics at all. Now some of the things that went into this is a security camera from eBay, basic cheap night vision IR security camera from eBay. You guys can pick these things up off of eBay literally for about $10-15, even less. Or if you want to go to the little more extreme, you can get the higher end ones that cost a little bit more, but you don't need to, especially if you're only looking for a base build. Another thing I bought is just some junk PVC board, hot glue gun. In the main section, powering it all here is a voltage step down, and then a camcorder. Was sacrificed, an old VHS camcorder, because in the old VHS camcorders this is the viewfinder itself from it, and as you guys can see, this little screen right here, that's what's in the camcorder. Now that screen itself is a miniature CRT television. The old tube TVs, that's a tiny tube TV. It's actually extremely small. It was about the right size to fit in the housing with the screen and all the circuitry in there. The board, you guys can, I don't know if you guys can see in that hole right there. See if I can get a decent shot. If not, I apologize. But right in this hole down there, you can see some of the circuit board. And like I said, I have it all shoved in the back side of this camera, or the back side of the housing. Now, like you're probably saying, is that screen's extremely small. Luckily, yes, the screens are small, but all the CRTs that you look at have a viewing lens, and in this lens there's a magnifying lens in there. And on these viewfinder pieces, there's an adjustable band which lets it move in and out and helps me adjust the focus on this end. So this piece right here is hot glued into the rubber cap that goes onto the piece. I can rotate it, I can make it comfortable. And and then I can adjust the focus on the screen itself. So per person, whoever uses this, they can adjust the screen focal point itself. On the other end is our security camera. Now, the actual camera piece itself is small. It is pretty small, guys. I mean, they're kind of tiny when you look at today's technology, and the sad part is this isn't even the smallest you can go. You can get way smaller than this. But on here, there's a set screw, and then you can adjust the focus on the camera end itself. Now, what this does is the camera picks up the IR light at night, and it even works during the day. It picks up normal visible light too, and it sends a feedback through a composite cable, which the cable's not hooked up. I've got it all soldered directly through. You have a power supply, so you have your positive, your negative. Where's my X-Acto? Here it is. You have your positive going in, your negative coming out, and then you have your yellow, which is your video feed. Your video feed is going to go straight from your camera. So your camera picks up the video, sends it out, and straight into your CRT TV. Now, this is how the video basically works. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing major. And then I have a power supply regulator here, that's what this pin popped off of. This is a step-down transformer. It takes anything from, I want to say, 7 volts to 19 volts maybe? I think it goes up as high as 19 volts. And what this does is it actually takes all that voltage and it brings it down to a constant 5 volts. This thing's going to aggravate me. Luckily, I'm not using it right now. And we're still under prototyping phase because I get bored and then I tweak it, and then I get bored and I tweak it some more. But essentially, I have the power supply coming in through a 7.4 volt battery, which powers the camera, and it powers the TV and the camera. The camera is rated anywhere from 6 to 12 volts, and the TV is rated for about 5 volts. You need to have a constant output of 5 volts for this, which is where the step down comes in at. So the step down power comes out, it's split between the two. I plug the battery in. The camera starts recording images, sends it into the the viewfinder, and I can see exactly what's going on. Now, like I said, I can use it during the day, I can use it at night. It is pretty simple. You literally have a power supply that you need to use on both, and then you have your video, which is a straight connection from one to the other. Now, like I said, an old camcorder, VHS cassette camcorder for the viewfinder. You're going to have 3 wires coming off of it. You're going to have your positive, your ground, and then your video feed. The same with the camera itself, the security camera. You got your 3 wires coming off of it. And in my case, I had 2 extra wires going to the power supply of the IR lights that were built in with the camera, which I don't have on there anymore. So it's literally a 3-wire setup. All the extra wires are sitting there just because I was testing length and testing, constant testing. Now, for this, the carry handle made the best sense because everything fit in the housing. I was able to screw the boards to the carry handle itself and put everything on one thing. A little bit of hot glue goes a long way to hold it in place. Now, clarity of this, 20, 30, 40 foot away, I can tell there's a person there. I can tell you who that person is and what they're doing, no issue. When you start getting beyond 40 foot, the visual clarity of telling who that person is harder. Telling there's a person there, you can definitely do it. You can see their shape, you can see the colors of them. Not really the colors, because this is a black and white camera sending out a signal. It's not colored because IR light has no visible color spectrum to it. It comes in through black and white. But you can definitely see there's people there. You can see what's going on. You have an idea what your surroundings are and everything else. Are you going to use this to read a map at night? No. Are you going to use this to pinpoint somebody at 100 yards away? No. What this does give you the ability to do is if it's pitch black and nobody else has IR, say you're playing a night game in the woods, and somebody's walking up a path towards you, and you could be flooding them with all the IR light you want. They'll never know you're there because they can't see the spectrum of the IR, but you'll see them coming up that path all day, and you can take shots at them, and they'll have no clue what's going on. So this does give you a definite advantage in game warfare at night. Even CQB environments, if you're going to camp a corner, it's the best way to go. Are you going to want to move with one of these things strapped to your head? You can as a monocular. Is it going to throw you off? Yes, it's definitely going to throw you off. It's going to be a little hard to get used to. But it will function. It will give you what it needs to do. But like I said, anybody else using night vision or a similar IR setup, they're going to see you coming. You're going to see them coming, which is why my IR setup's off on its own circuit, and it's on and off when I want it on and off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to at least turn this on. I'm going to try and get you guys to see at least a decent little picture of what it actually is and what it does and what you should be seeing. Now this may be a little hard with the setup the way it sits, but let me see, let's get that focused. Say about right there, guys, maybe. And what you're probably seeing is a whole lot of nothing at the moment because of the way the camera is. So let's do this. We're going to pop this camera up somewhat. Let me take it out of the housing here. I'm gonna try this, guys. I don't know how well this is gonna work, but we're gonna give it a try. Now you guys should be at least seeing the store somewhat. I don't know how focused it is because we did mess with the focus a little bit, but this gives you an idea of what actually is going on. Now that's actually not too bad focused wise, so you guys should be able to see the raffle jar, and this is it during the light. Yes, at night when the IR light is on, you will see the exact same thing, black and white setup, but this gives you an idea of what you actually see. Base build wise, base cost of this build is relatively cheap. Let me throw this right back in here, guys. You know, you're into it, whatever you would pay for the price of a camcorder. So depending on how frugal you are, you may find one at a yard sale. Heck, you may even have one laying around in your attic of your house. So you could be in anywhere from $25, $30 to pretty much nothing, depending on what you have laying around. Me myself, I salvage a lot of stuff like this, camcorders, you know, the viewfinder I had laying around, the security camera, ordered off of eBay for like 10 bucks, the 5 volt circuit, you know, which comes in just this chip itself right here, which is a separate chip itself. It has your positive in, your negative in, your positive out, your negative out. Pretty easy to wire up, relatively cheap. You can get them all day, and then whatever you're going to put it on. If you don't want to do a housing like this, Kydex, guys. Kydex goes a long way. Kydex is easy to fold and mold and mend to what you need it, especially when you apply heat to it. You know, you can get the Kydex to get into some pretty cool patterns, shapes. As you guys seen with the gun holsters, they will form to a lot of stuff. So Kydex could always be a good housing unit for it when you're prototyping it up. A little bit of time, a little bit of effort goes a long way to getting you to a final product that you may actually really like and enjoy. Now, is this something I'm going to run full time at like Milsim events? Not really. This is something I did just to screw around with, just because I got bored. The kids like it. I can throw it on my G36, you know, and go play a game this weekend and use it perfectly fine. It will function. It will do what I need it to do. Is it an end-all means to night vision for airsoft? No. Is it something fun to screw around with? Definitely. If you're still looking for a high-end night vision device, this is not for you, but for the guys who like to screw around and tinker around out there, this at least gives you an idea of what you can do with a couple odd and end parts and some free time. Like I said, a hot glue gun and some ingenuity can go a long way if you put it in the right direction. So it got me something to screw around with. If you guys have any questions about any of this, or you know, want a little help along the way, I may be doing another one of these builds in a Kydex housing itself, so I'll do a video of it as I go along so you guys can see exactly what goes into it. But for now, this will probably sit in my box and collect dust until I decide to do something else with it. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I may Kydex the sides and, you know, just build a box around it to help prevent any damage to it if I do decide to screw around with it. But if you do have any questions, I'll try and help you guys out the best I can on it. So, you know, if you could like, share, comment, subscribe, we'll appreciate it. And as always, call your hits, guys.